What's up, Trainiacs? So, Patrick Lange put down by far the fastest time to have ever happened at the Ironman World Championship. Now, we don't know a lot about Patrick Lange's training because he's not very open about it on social media, but I think we figured some stuff out. Also, who likes the new lid? Alright, rapid reboot boots out of there. Rapid reboot hat. Get out of the way of my pretty face. Rapid reboot shirt. Product placement on product placement on product placement. So, now, Patrick Lange, first guy to go sub 8 hours in Kona. How does he do this besides just his awesome run? Well, we don't know a lot about his training because you look at Patrick Lange's Strava feed, totally bare. He's done all of, I think, 6 workouts this year on Strava. He's probably working out a lot more than that. You look at Garmin Connect, even though he's sponsored by Garmin, there is nothing there. I think he's non-existent. Few things that we do know about Patrick Lange is that, number one, his coach is Faris El-Sultan, former excellent Speedo wearer and winner of Ironman Kona. This past year, he spent a little bit of time training in St. Moritz in Switzerland, getting some of that altitude training. And then right before Kona, he went to Woodlands, Texas to get that sea level elevation, but really hot, humid training, very similar to what was in Kona. But other than that, we don't really know a lot. You look at his Instagram feed and it's not a whole lot of details on his training if he mentions it at all. It's basically like, ooh, went for a long run, but no details on pacing, no details on how long. Frankly, coming into Kona, I was like, the guy could be in the best shape of his entire life or the worst, and he doesn't even make the start line. Well played, Patrick Lange. Well played. But we do know that Patrick Lange was taking this year seriously because of the hashtag Be the Record Breaker campaign that his now fiancée Julia came up with, which it was completely designed around Project 101. And this is all around the fact that in 2017, Patrick Lange's time was 100 seconds from 8 hours flat. So to be the first person to break 8 hours, he had to shave 101 seconds off of his 2017 time. Now, already having the fastest run to ever be done in Kona and being a close to the front pack swimmer, Patrick Lange started looking at other areas for improvement. One of them was on the bike, and there were a few things that he did. One was very well documented, publicized. It was about the only thing that was publicized over the course of 2017 with Lange. It was a Project 101 project with Swisside, Sauber Engineering, and Canyon, where they all came together to custom make a cockpit that was aero designed and custom fit to Lange's elbow, head, face, arm, body geometry. Everything going into that cockpit was custom designed right from the tip to the tail. And we've got a quote from Lange about this Project 101. While working on Project 101, we did something that's never been done in triathlon. I'm very proud to be part of this project. We tested my new aero cockpit in the wind tunnel, and the results confirmed a significant performance improvement. This will have a direct impact on my bike splits in Kona. I can't wait to show the world my new aero cockpit and deliver a strong performance on October 13th. That will be the big race in Kona, Hawaii. But again, besides that, we don't really know a whole lot. One thing that we can see from his Instagram feed is that he still rides gravel bikes and road bikes quite frequently. And if we take a page from Cam Wurf, where he once said in an interview where he was asked, well, how often do you ride your tri-bike? And he's like, oh God, once a week, once every 2 weeks. It's not comfortable. I ride this bike as little as possible just to maintain comfort and familiarity and the ability to put down power on this bike. Is Lange doing that, where he's doing most of his riding on other types of bikes and then just a little bit of riding week by week on his tri-bike? Who knows? But he comes from a mountain biking background, so makes sense that he would want to get away from sitting on the triathlon bike 2x4s that are out there. They ain't comfortable. So up to this point, I've said a whole lot without saying a whole lot. What we can do, however, is we can analyze Lange's performance in this year's Kona versus last year's Kona to kind of get a sense of the difference in performances. It's not as drastic as you might think, even though it's 9 minutes difference. So let's start with the swim. In 2018, Lange was actually almost 2 minutes slower than he was in 2017. He went 50:37 this year, whereas last year he went 48:45. And this was in a year where I was sitting on the pier with actually Mark Allen's agent, and we threw something into the water to see how strong or not strong the current was, and there was actually no tide. What we threw in the water just sank right to the bottom. And Lucy Charles broke the swim course record entirely on her own without the help of Lauren Brandon, so it was a fast swim, but Lange went slower. Fun fact, Lange's agent is actually Jan Sibertsen, who is the guy that broke the swim course record as an age grouper this year.
The top 5 before you know it. Jan Sibertsen hails from Germany. Look at him just trying to work his way up there like a dolphin. But hey, he's really getting after it. Look at this.
Big dude, massive dude. Holy smokes, that's power. Now the bike, this is where things get a lot different. A lot different. Lange was more than 12 minutes faster this year, biking 4 hours, 16 minutes, and 4 seconds. In 2017, he went 4 hours, 28 minutes, and 53 seconds. So you could be saying, did Project 101 in that cockpit make him almost 13 minutes faster, or did Lange just crush the bike training overall? Well, not necessarily. Again, we talked to Cam Worf after the race, and he said, you know what, the crosswinds just weren't there in Kona this year, and that's what you need to separate the field between really strong cyclists and weaker cyclists. So what happens on a day like we had this year in Kona in 2018 is that everyone just kind of stays together. But what we can look at, here's a good indication to show where Lange was in his bike fitness in 2017 versus 2018. We can look at the average split time of the top 20 athletes year over year. And then we see where Lange places in relation to that. So I've got that. I did that math. It's Canadian math though. So in 2018, the average bike split time for the top 20 athletes was 4:17:30. Just a few years ago, that would have been record setting. Lange was about a minute and a half faster than that. In 2017, the average bike split time was a 4:28, and Lange was about a minute slower than that. So Lange improved relative to where he did in 2017 by about 2 minutes. Even though the time is about 13 minutes faster, relatively he's about 2 minutes faster. So that could be the cockpit, but it could also be that he had a teammate, Andreas Dietz, working with him. And while he said on Breakfast with Bob that they didn't talk about working together at all on the bike before the race, they're teammates. They get paid by a lot of the same people. And even if it is just to see a teammate out front of you doing a ton of the work and working yourself really hard to stay on that person's wheel and saving the 2 to 4 watts that you can by being in a legal draft zone, it's still going to help you by a little bit. So combine Project 101, the new cockpit, Andreas Dietz. Relatively, Lange gets about 2 minutes faster between 2017 and 2018. On to the run. The run in 2018 was actually 92 seconds slower than it was in 2017. Again, you might be saying, well, you know, this isn't as strong as the year before. Did his run fitness fall off? I wouldn't say that that's the fact, because in 2017, he had to run like crazy to chase down Lionel Sanders, which he only did at 2 miles left in the marathon. This year, he took the lead at about 10 miles. So at that point, he didn't really have the same incentive to push very hard for that 14-mile window in between 10 and 24 miles, which is where he passed Lionel Sanders, so his pace naturally would fall off a little bit. Fortunately, he had the motivation and the drive that was kind of in here that he had, keeping his mind on the fact that he knew if he won and broke 8 hours, he was going to propose to Julie at the finish line. I find that just so sweet. So to put some things into perspective, we level out the swim a little bit, we level out the run a little bit, and we level out the bike a little bit. Relatively, compared to 2017, it was actually about 10 and a half minutes slower than the actual time that Lange put down. So if we try to compare 2017 and 2018, they're a very, very comparable race. Lange has hopefully got faster in the bike. Maybe he just got a tough break in the swim and didn't catch the front swim pack, and he didn't have to push as hard on the run. So could he have broken 8 hours given the same conditions that we had in 2017? I think so, actually, because he's got cool shirts that say "Be the Record Breaker." He's a trainiac, so he's watched all kinds of really good videos over the last year. And frankly, I think that he is one of the single best racers to ever step up and race Ironman Kona. I said it before the race that he was my pick, and what? Who was right? Y'all didn't believe me. So alright, Trainiacs, if you aren't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button below because we have all kinds of analysis videos of what happened in Kona coming up over the next couple weeks. If you are subscribed, you are like beautiful, tasty, fizzy water. Later, Trainiacs.